What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
You don't know what that order is, Mr. Trash. I'd show you, but I'm too old. I'm too tired. I'm too fucking blind. If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
We've said it once, we've said it twice, we've said it a million times. The truth shall always set you free. This is Tim. Fuck your sensitivity. The mad ramblings of a Gen Xer. Want to talk about the 250th year anniversary here for America. Also want to talk about the 250-year empire theory, which is also referred to as the life cycle of empires. It's basically a historical concept that is basically asserting that great nations and empires have an average lifespan of roughly 250 years, or about 10 generations before the inevitable decline and collapse. Now, the United States, of course, 250 year anniversary, or in year of independence, we'll say, is July 4th. 2026. We've already seen what's been going on with the liberals pressuring people not to perform at the Liberty celebrations over in Washington, D.C. because of their hatred and sometimes inane hatred for Donald Trump. I just don't get where they get some of this, but this is now lending to the credence of the 250-year empire theory. Now, the theory originated back in 1978 by an essay titled "The Fate of the Empires and Search for Survival" by, I can't ever say his name right, but I believe it's John Bagot Glup. He is, of course, he was a British general and scholar, and he analyzed over 3,000 years of history, and that was including the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Ottomans, and the British. And he argued that regardless of the technology, regardless of the differences, empires consistently progress through 6 specific stages over 250 years. Now, stage 1 is the age of the pioneers. According to his essay, it's bold, it's poor, highly disciplined explorers overcome great odds to establish a new power. Well, you know what? That you could take a look at that, and you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at, America being discovered, or you can look at the year of independence, 1776, July 4th. Stage 2 is the age of conquest, aggressive military expansion resulting in vast territory acquisition. Well, once again, it's the migration to the West. It's the discovering of new trade ports. It's the founding of the rest of the nation. Hell, you could even consider it's the Indians selling us to Manhattan for $13. Then step 3, according to Sir John, and I'm not talking about Sir John Lennon, is the age of commerce. The empire shifts focus to trade, enterprise, and immerse itself in a wealth generation. Immediately after World War II, you have this explosion, you have everyone coming back, you have this prosperity, you move on from there. Then it's the age of affluence. It's the peak prosperity. Greed is good. Where money begins to erode values, duty and public service are gradually replaced by personal greed. You're looking at the 80s. You are truly looking at the 80s. You did a whole movie with Gordon Gekko and Wall Street with Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas. Like we said before, greed is in better terms, greed is good. You add the rise of cocaine, the rise of technology. You could also even consider that part to be the dot-com explosion, the dot-com boom, just before the dot-com bust. Stage 5 is the age of intellect. A peak in education, science, and public debate, which ultimately leads to intense polarization, endless arguments, and lack of decisive action. Well, shit. You had that under Obama. You had that under Joe Biden. Historically, we're not doing too well because we seem to be hitting on key moments and key points in reference to his 6 specific stages. Now, what really gets me is the age of decadence. The final stage, which is characterized by extreme political polarization. I'm not looking at you fucking whack jobs on the left. Massive wealth inequality. I don't agree with that one to a point because I don't really think there's inequality. I think there's more of a lack of perception of inequality. And a lot of times you have people on the left and some on the right that sit there and take ernst to someone who earns more than them because they work harder than them. We are the give me society. Right now, this next generation is the give me society. Everything is give me, give me, give me. I need this. I need you to give me X. I need you to give me Y. I don't want to fucking work for it because I have all these mental disabilities and mental issues, but I want you to give it to me.
That's what she said.
Like I said, runaway debt. We've been having runaway debt for years actually not for years. When Clinton left, got bad under Bush. You got horrid under Obama. You also saw some of it accelerate under Trump. You saw it massively. You saw them put the pedal to the metal, not looking at you, American Rescue Act, which all they did was cause hyperinflation and stagnant inflation. We're not going to talk about that. Out of control military spending. I don't agree with that because I think in this hyperbolic climate that we're in right now, I think you need to spend on the military. There is just so many things that are going on with rampant migration and illegal migration, not just here in the United States, but overseas, where it's really that you have a segment of the population trying to kind of basically overtake another segment of the population. We see that with the Muslims. We see what's happening with the Jewish people. We see this all the time. The Jewish persuasion will say, I'll try to keep this apolitical. And the loss of civic moral fiber. Well, fuck. We fell right into that because if you don't agree with the liberals, it's your fault. Everything is your fault. The economic decline is your fault. The fact that I don't want to work and I'm out here protesting 24/7 because that is my job is your fault. There are 47,000 different genders, even though scientifically there are only 2. You could be a man. You could be a woman. You could be a puppy. We have taken a look at mental instability and put a label on it as normal. Before, if someone came to you and said, I'm a furry, I need a litter box in my class, they would lock your ass up. And rightfully so. Because you can't sit there and tell me you're an animal because you're not an animal. I always wanted to be Batman. But first I would have to be Bruce Wayne. That is the problem with this society. That's what we have to look at. Modern observers are looking at it right now saying this theory really is not coming under challenge because you have $34 trillion in national debt. You have gridlock in our political arenas. You have the declining public trust in all institutions, which I don't really understand because of the fact that there was a day. And I'm old enough to remember 1976. I'm old enough to remember another one of our anniversaries. I remember that. And I remember that clearly because of the fact that you had patriot pride. You had pride in your country. Now we have to sit here and hear how America is the worst fucking country there is, but they never fucking leave. They never walk out. They all sit there and tell you, oh, here's everything wrong here. I don't want to be part of this nation. I do not want to be called an American. Then get the fuck out. It's not that difficult to get on a plane. It's not that difficult to go to another country and cross the border. Oh, wait, it is. Try doing the shit in China. Try doing the shit in Russia. Try doing it in Japan. You're going to get arrested and thrown the fuck out. But everything here is so horrid to a certain segment of the population. Everything here is we are so terrible about everything that they can never fucking comprehend the fact that you are in the best place that you can humanly possibly be. You have all these people that have come from communism. You have all these people that have come from socialism, and they tell you the same thing. It fucking sucks. They don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want anything to do with it. And they try to explain to these morons that is like, we need to redistribute the wealth. You mean the wealth that where like 3% of the population pays for 45% of the taxes? Are we talking about that? Is that what we're talking about? And I wanted to get to the final stage again, because that's the stage of decadence. And when you think of the Roman Empire, when you think of the fall and the collapse, Nero fiddled as Rome burned. It's a little different when you kind of break it down into modern day terms. It is first thought in my mind when I hear that is, it's going to be the influx, like we've just talked influx again of foreigners, influx of a multiple cultural differences moving into the country at once. It's the rapid immigration into the capital cities. While it creates a melting pot, while it brings culture, it also dilutes the original shared civic values that built the empire, that built where we are. Russia tells you all the time, you come into Russia, you need to learn about the Russian culture. They do the same thing in China. They do the same thing in Japan. They do the same things in other countries. You need to learn about it. You need to assimilate. We don't assimilate to you because we fucking live here. And it's the idolization of celebrities. We got to stop honoring these fucking idiots as heroes. We're honoring musicians, actors, and athletes who are the highest paid people in the country, have the most influence culturally, but they're going to tell you that they want to tax everyone, but they already know that they are not going to have to pay those taxes. And the problem is when you have this influx of rapid immigration, when you have these people coming in, you know what it also creates? It creates more of a welfare state. A state that heavily subsidizes the populations. And we saw this with COVID. We saw the laziness with COVID. We have had the greatest generation who fought wars, who went and built this country to turn it over to these fucking morons who have already lost it. There is this comfort and entitlement that the government should take care of everything instead of you earning it. And that's a problem. One thing I was also thinking about, and I'm kind of happy at times when Trump talks about this, I'm kind of happy about when other people talk about, it's the decline of religion. It's that traditional faith. It's that structure that we're seeing collapse. We see it, and we see people focusing on more of their own personal pleasures, their own personal ideology, that they are getting away from what made this country great. And like I say, you look at the British Empire, 1700 AD to 1950. That was 250 years. The Spanish Empire, 1500 AD to 1750, 250 years. Ottoman Empire, 250 years. The Arab Empire was 508. The Roman Empire was only 207 years. The Roman Republic was 240 years. The Persian Empire was 208 years. That's what we need to look at. And that's what we need to figure out. We need to stop fighting with ourselves. We need to stop fighting for people that don't belong here. You see all the shit going on in Newark at the Immigration Detention Center. And then you have the governor of New York taking a victory lap saying, well, look what we did. We got them to give these people their visitation rights back. Well, moron, the only fucking reason they lost their visitation rights is because you had people go out there and protest, which made it unsafe, not only for the people, the illegal immigrants, but for the people that work there, which caused them to terminate the visitation rights. And you want to take a victory lap because you're like, well, you know what? Look what we did. We got them to reinstitute it. No, they cleared you the fuck out. Some people will argue some mainstream historians that are critical of this theory will tell you that when Sir John wrote this, that he arbitrarily manipulated the dates to fit his timeline. They'll say, for example, the Roman Empire lasted over 500 years. Well, he actually divided it up. And the Ottoman Empire lasted over 600. But again, if you take a look, he divided it up. They also basically say, and of course, like I said, this is a lot of historians, but there is a lot of U.S. parallel relevance to this. And a lot of people say that they viewed this as a political talking point to help express anxiety about the future rather than to accurately predict history. I don't really agree with that. But if you take a look at it, there is so much going on right now that has gone this direction, that has gone this way, where like I said, it's just this hyperbolic political moment where people are sitting there and they're yelling at each other, but they're not listening to each other. And a lot of this falls on the right, but a lot of this falls on the left. If you don't believe what the left believes, they go fucking bonkers. They are like petulant children. And that's a big problem. They go fucking nuts because they can't comprehend a conversation. And if you go there with a political talking point backed up by facts, you're a racist. If there's something that they cannot dilute in regards to your facts, you are the problem. You are the racist. You are not listening. You're a sexist. You are a neo-Nazi. Even though the definition of Nazis more fits them than it does the conservative side, but it's their rallying point. And I love because all they do is talk about socialism. Who was a fucking socialist? They don't want to talk about that. And then when you bring that up, again, you're the racist. You are more concerned about the color of someone's skin than what's in their heart. No, I'm more concerned about protecting the own values of our own country than I am having someone who does not belong or who did not come here legally telling me that they deserve more than the people such as our own veterans. Oh, I really missed this show and I really miss doing this. So we're going to try to do this at least bi-weekly. This is Tim. This is Fuck Your Sensitivity, the mad ramblings of a Gen Xer. And I'm out of here.